Welcome to the Retro Video Store Podcast.
Welcome everyone to the Retro Video Store Podcast. I'm your host Eric.
Hi, Eric.
That's my co-host Neil.
I'm Neil. And who, in all of my planning and all of my dedication to this, has screwed up Dave coming to record? Who did we screw this up? Dave. Sorry, Dave. I screwed this up.
Yeah. Well, he said he wouldn't be able to record even yesterday because he got called out to a fire. So he's just a busy man this type of year. We had hopes that he'd be able to join us for Robocop 2, which is our movie for the day. And he got called out again. So, when fire season is afoot, and I know people who are like, it's always fire season, but this really is fire season when you think about it. So when fire season is really sparking up, he's out there fighting the good fight and doing important things. And you and I are sitting here talking about the podcast while he's out there brave in the wilderness.
Brave in the wilderness. Well, when someone says it's always fire season, that's someone who doesn't know shit. How many forest fires do you get dead of winter with like 4 or 5 feet of snow on the ground, or when it's the rainy season out here? You don't.
Mm-hmm. It's just, somebody who's a volunteer firefighter used to say that to me. Oh, it's always fire season. I'm like, yeah, whatever.
Yeah. You're a what kind of firefighter, buddy? Volunteer.
Yeah. Man, I remember back in our days how popular being a volunteer firefighter was. And I thought I had interest in it, but the people who were involved in it were just, not to insult their volunteering. It's taking time out of their day to help people, but it was
fucktards. I'm just going to say it. They were fucktards.
Yeah. A lot of guys who wanted to be cops and wanted to be firefighters, and they put their own lights on their own trucks, and
the guys they always had like a knife in a sheath on their belts, where everywhere they went.
Pager
tucked their t-shirts in with their big country western belt. Yeah, I remember that. That was a fun one.
I'll save that young man's life.
God damn it! I was going to do that. We are referencing a teacher we had in school that would tell us every year how he had saved a young man's life who was a member of our volunteer fire department.
Yes. Mm-hmm. One good thing, though, about having teachers who were volunteers is that maybe during science class, their pager would go off and they'd have to leave, and we could just screw around until they got back.
Oh, that was so great. But
nice.
The best one was watching that one particular teacher that only had one eye run.
Mm-hmm. Yep. And you take one of his eyes out to show everybody.
Every year, everyone knew, like, hey, he's going to try to shock you, but he does it all the time. He's going to pop his eyeball out. Mm-hmm. Cool. Pop it out.
Nice. Well, we're not here about to talk about redneck firefighters. Dave is not a redneck firefighter. He's a good firefighter, so he's out there doing that. But we're here to talk about Robocop 2 from 1990. This is 2 movies in a row from 1990. And sometimes I think that the 90s aren't great when it comes to movies, but I think I'm kind of wrong, because I've been looking at a lot of movies from the 90s that fit what we do, including the movie that we're doing next week, Universal Soldier. Yeah.
Man, I saw that one at the Lobo, I think. That was.
I have not seen that one in a long time. Came out in 1992. So next week, everybody, Universal Soldier. We're doing our 90s action, late 80s, early 90s action marathon going. Last week, we did Predator 2, which is an inferior sequel to the original movie. We're doing another inferior sequel to the original movie. We're doing Robocop 2 today, which I think is a lot of fun, but it is just doesn't have the heart of the first movie, and is maybe a little more mean-spirited, just like Predator 2 is more mean-spirited than regular Predator.
It was like the Temu version of what it should have actually been.
Yeah. Apparently, let's do other things first before we dive into the meat of Robocop 2. Neil, what did you watch this week?
I watched one movie. I had time off, so I spent all of my time taking 3 inches of dirt off my front lawn because we're going to zero landscape it. So I was out hosing it down and rototilling, and I was trying to do it in chunks because it was just killing myself to try to do it all at once. So when I would get in, I was watching a lot of like series television, but I did settle in and watch this movie. But I also watched a sort of I wouldn't call it a B horror movie, but it was a little lower budget, but it's called Bloodsucking Bastards. It's like, oh God, what was that Mike Judge movie about, working in an office?
Office Space?
Office Space. Yeah, it's kind of like Office Space and Buffy the Vampire Slayer kind of merged. Pedro Pascal is in it.
He's in everything. It's mandatory. It's the law that he's in everything.
Well, this was like 2011.
So pre
like
Pedro Sans.
Yeah, big fame. Matthew Lillard had a little cameo in it. And do you remember in Super Troopers, the kid that goes, "Oh, he's pulled over. We can't pull over any further."
Yeah.
He had a big role in it. The dialogue was really good, but it was held back by the quality of the actors, which was not horrible, but not great.
Mm-hmm.
But it had that sort of like video quality. Like, I don't know, the difference between like a real cinematic camera and one filmed on an iPhone. You know what I'm talking about?
Yeah.
It just looked like the lighting wasn't so great. And they did well with the sets that they had, which were really good, but the lighting and I didn't, but it was still entertaining. I would watch it. I would recommend watching it. It was pretty entertaining. That's what I watched.
Well, did you not see Superman as well?
Oh shit, that was in the theater. I completely forgot about that. Yeah, I saw that, and you saw that.
Yes.
I thought we'd already talked about it. That's how long my week has been. Okay, well, you know what? If you want to sit here and talk about woke superheroes, just go ahead and talk about all them woke superheroes.
What is so funny is that having a hero who helps people and helps the downtrodden, helps the underrepresented, helps, the average person. How is that woke? Isn't that what superheroes do?
Because he pointed out that he was an immigrant.
Yeah. And that is exactly what Superman is. It's the classic immigrant story. He's from another planet, adopted by parents in Kansas and raised to be an American. And if anything, it's probably the greatest assimilation story that you could ever do, because he learns his values and his kindness from having good parents, not the Kryptonian parents. And it's much of a plot point in this movie that his Kansas parents, their values are more important than the values that he thought he learned from his Kryptonian parents. And that was kind of like the whole point. But why is helping people woke?
So I don't spend a lot of time on Threads, mm-hmm. because Threads it's horrible, absolutely horrible. And when I clicked on it just to kind of see what was going on Threads, that's all it was like, this was the worst movie I've ever seen, that this hero is woke. And then like 5 or 6 random people saying, I beat cancer today. Then you look at their feed, and then it's just basically things for clicks. Like, mm-hmm. Would you date a girl that did this? How do you feel about this? And I don't get the unadulterated rage. This is the thing though. People, they throw out, okay, you ready for us to be buffoons?
Yes.
All right, let's be buffoons.
The woke hive mind telling us what.
The woke hive, yes. Yeah. When did having compassion become such a bad thing? Because the people that threw around the word snowflake are the ones that get offended so fast and are screaming the loudest right now.
Yeah. I mean, that is every accusation is an admission. And I feel like
that's some deep shit. Say that again.
Every accusation is an admission to them, it is better to be narcissistic than it is to be altruistic. It is better to be cruel than to help others. And it's better to weed out the minority who may be abusing the system than actually having a system that helps people. So it's good to just throw the baby out with the bathwater, just because maybe a minuscule amount of people may be taking advantage of the system. So screw the system, destroy the system, because there might be somebody getting over on somebody. But who cares about the other people who are benefiting from it? This is very buffoonish of me to say, but yeah, the thing I loved the most about the movie, getting just back on topic to the movie, is that it was a good comic book movie. It didn't expect you to, it was like they expected you to know who Superman was and know his origin and know that this is a superhero movie. They didn't have to be like the 70s or the 80s where it had to be grounded so much in reality. Otherwise, people wouldn't buy what was going on, or even like if you watch Man of Steel or The Dark Knight or Batman Begins, it has to have some sort of grounded in some sort of reality. Otherwise, they didn't think people would buy it. But now James Gunn's is like, hey, you bought a talking raccoon in a tree. Well, how about, a floating head, and how about all the, just a dog that's a super dog and stuff like that. It is pure. Here's a comic book. Here's the language of comics. This is what the movie is.
I loved the beginning of it. I really loved the beginning of it. Like, hey, at this point, this happened, and then doing it in threes, and then this many years ago, Superman revealed himself to the world, and then this many months ago, and this many minutes ago, he just got his ass kicked.
Yeah. And I was reading, people were like, "Oh, Superman's not powerful enough. He's not strong enough, or whatever." And then it was like, "Well, there's no stakes if he can't be defeated, or there's no stakes to it if he is like a god and can never be hurt or anything like that." So, and if you watch any sort of Superman comics, he has tons of weaknesses. He's weak against magic. No, is it magic? Yeah, magic is Superman's weakness, and kryptonite, of course. And there's certain things that happen that he can be, if there's no sun, if he's out of the sun, then he loses power, or yellow sun. So there are things written into there that
I damn near started a fist fight when we watched it. I'm sorry, spoilers, folks. Here they come. So Lex Luthor walks up with Ultraman to the door, and the door lights up and opens, and I was like, "Oh my God, how is he opening up the door? What's he doing?" I said, "Ultraman's probably a clone. That's why he's so powerful. That's why he kicked his ass." And then everyone around us like, shut up. You're going to ruin the movie. And then no way. And then when it happened, they were mad because I called it. It's like, have you never read a comic book in your life? What are you doing? You're my age. Be quiet.
He's basically Bizarro without being Bizarro. He's just the dumber version of Superman who's all brawn and no brains. Yeah. Overall, I thought it was really, really good. I would go see it again, and I'm actually looking forward to maybe some DC projects. I've always been more of a Marvel fan than DC. Always thought some of the DC characters were ridiculous, but I think if you get somebody who can execute them well, you can buy into it. Just like in the Suicide Squad, not Suicide Squad, the James Gunn directed one. King Shark was really good, and of course, Peacemaker is awesome, but he's really good at selling it and building characters. Like Guy Gardner is the Green Lantern. I always hated the Green Lantern, but I was like, this is pretty good. I would go see a movie with him in it.
Yeah, he got him down really quick. But DC was what started our love for these kinds of movies, though. Yeah, I mean, Superman. When Superman's flying and he kind of looks over and he smiles at you and he peels away at the end of the movie. As a little kid, like Superman knows. Superman is looking me right in the fucking eye. Yeah. And I know he can fly, and Superman knows he can fly. This is the greatest movie I've ever seen. Yeah. And then we had the Spider-Man TV series.
Yes, it took a long time for Marvel to put out a competent movie. They were in dire straits, but so we did have Superman and Batman. Those were the movies that we had seen. Remember the cheesy Captain America TV show?
He had that plastic looking shield,
yeah. And then the Spider-Man, of course, TV show. They had good animated shows, Spider-Man and His Amazing Friends, and then the Hulk.
Okay. What was it about Spider-Man and His Amazing Friends that you enjoyed the most, Eric?
Starfire.
Okay.
Yes, Starfire.
Even though it was all Iceman memes you were sending me.
It has made me kind of want to look more into Superman comics and watch. They've been showing the movies on TV now. Obviously, they're going to try to capitalize on Superman as much as possible. So the original Superman with Christopher Reeve was on, and it's hard to top that one because Christopher Reeve is such a good Superman and Clark Kent. This David Cornsweet did pretty good, and hopefully he'll have more time to stretch out and be more of a character. But it's hard to beat Christopher Reeve. He was perfect as both.
That's who I think of. But I think this is kind of cool though, because for me, I wasn't a huge Tobey Maguire fan for Spider-Man. Mm-hmm. Andrew Garfield, I'm like, okay, he's got the look. He's kind of long and lean and lanky. I really dig that. And then Tom Holland comes along, and I'm like, okay, well, he's bringing his own thing. And like you were saying, all the movies were on, and I had just seen something online showing like all of the Supermen. And I'm like, yeah, they all kind of brought a little something different. But when I think Superman, I think Christopher Reeve.
Yeah.
You know what we didn't have? We didn't have to have the scene of frickin' Kent, Papa Kent. We didn't have to have. We'd have to have a scene of him sacrificing himself or something drastic happening. It's like no, they're just some good old salt of the earth folks like living in Kansas. That like my son's got superpowers. Hey, what do you? It's just the way things are.
Yeah, that was really, really good. And that was my big complaint with Man of Steel is that they got Pa Kent wrong. Kevin Costner's like, don't always hide yourself. Don't show anybody who you are. And then don't save me, son, even though I know you could. Just stay there and let me get killed by this tornado. Tornado.
Something's going to go on. All right, I couldn't have been the only person that it was just I had to see him in the movie several times. I just got a little bit fucked off when I saw Bradley Cooper as Jor-El.
Yeah, that was kind of weird. And he didn't look quite like himself. There was like a weird uncanny valley Bradley Cooper thing. They did something to him to make him look just a little off.
Yeah, I'm sitting there. I'm like, that fucking Bradley Cooper. Is that Bradley Cooper? I feel cheated at this point. Yeah. But it was fun. That's why I go watch movies like that, because I just dial it off and just dial out, dial off, cut off, go to the movie theater, get engrossed in something, have fun with it. And that's what this movie did. I enjoyed the hell out of it.
Yeah. Enjoyed it. I watched the Salem's Lot movie on HBO Max for 2024.
I've queued that up. I watched like the first 5 seconds of it. So it would like, hey, do you want to watch this next?
Yeah.
Because you got me jazzed about that. So what did you think?
Pretty damn good. Damn good. It is like a speed run through the miniseries, but it was effective and a little bit scary. And it's like a very trimmed down version of it. I won't spoil it for you, but I thought it was good. Remember the guy who played Bob, the Void guy, Bill Pullman's son, plays Ben Mears in the Salem's Lot movie. And he did a pretty good job. Bob in in Thunderbolts, Sentry.
Yeah.
He plays the writer character protagonist in Salem's Lot.
Are the words Kurt Barlow ever uttered?
Yes.
Nice.
And Barlow looks scary. Straker is very minor character. Mm-hmm. In it, but it kind of does like the greatest hits. I remember this from the book. I remember from the book, and then the special effects are good. It's worth watching.
The coming out of the shadow thing in the miniseries as a kid, just about left brown streaks on the couch for me.
Yeah, was that the part when they're in the kitchen and eating? That scared the shit out of me.
Do we get anywhere near that in this?
No, there are some freaky parts, but it just doesn't have that primal fear that the original caused everybody in our age with the kid at the window. The way it's done, the way Toby Hooper did it is so scary. And then when the vampire shows up in the house, and it just doesn't hit that primal kind of like stuck in your head thing, but it's good. I'd recommend it. I've kind of avoided it, and just all of a sudden I'm like, yeah, why not? I'll check it out, and then I'll watch it for a few minutes and see if it's okay. But then it turned out to be pretty good, so I watch all of it. It's only 2 hours.
That's the best part about thinking about stuff like this and talking about it is and why we do this is that reaction as a kid, when that sort of thing was like super fresh. Like I don't watch stuff and have like visceral reactions like that, like I did when I was a kid. Now, like oh my God, it's a vampire outside and he works for the IRS and he's going to fucking audit you. Oh my God, now that's terrifying. But those are the best bits. Just remembering,
just like you saying, Superman flying and like kind of giving you like a little wink before he flies off. Yeah. Just one thing I always remember, and we're not even talking about RoboCop 2 quite yet, but we will. Is one of the parts of a movie that stuck with me as being so awesome and so badass is when Luke and Han and Lando, see Darth Vader at the table in Cloud City. And then, Chewie roars, and then, Han shoots Darth Vader, and he just absorbs it with his hand and then takes his blaster away. I always just thought that was the biggest pimp move I'd ever seen in any movie ever. I was like, this guy is a bad motherfucker. That was, I didn't even know that term back when I was, 7 years old when I saw that movie, but that was just like, holy shit.
Yeah. Oh, very much so. And now you just appreciate that he's a guy that was in a work meeting and then choked the living hell out of a coworker. Like it's just this is everybody's dream.
Yes, to choke out the guy who has the courage to talk shit to you about your religion. So, all right. Well, let's talk about RoboCop 2. Let's talk. What did the Internet Movie Database say?
All right. RoboCop returns to protect the citizens of Old Detroit, but faces a deadly challenge when a rogue OCP member secretly creates a new, evil RoboCop 2. Period.
All right.
It's a hell of a description there, boys.
Speaking of The Empire Strikes Back, Irvin Kershner directed RoboCop 2, which was the last movie he ever directed, and it is so bizarre that he directed this movie.
Not quite the caliber of Empire.
No. I saw this in the theater back in 1990, and I enjoyed it quite a bit, but I knew that it just didn't hit the peaks of RoboCop 2. You're missing that Paul Verhoeven-ness that he brings, where the satire in this movie was just over the head beating you, where in RoboCop it was a little bit more subtle. And I don't get me wrong, I do like the TV commercials and the news breaks and all that kind of stuff. It is pretty good. And there's still themes in here that are valid today, like the militarization of the police force, of the police, and the privatization of everything. That is still really, that is probably more prescient than anything else in the movie. Is like everything is privatized. That's it. That's where, screw the government. Everything is privatized. Put it in the hands of the, of capitalists, and see how everybody benefits or doesn't benefit from it. And Detroit did go bankrupt, so that was that would predicted the future there. So
and it wasn't even stuff. It wasn't even on episodes of The Simpsons. So way to go.
Mm-hmm. And one thing that is interesting is Frank Miller, famous comic writer and artist, wrote this movie, and he even has a cameo as the scientist that gets blown up in the lab after Kane goes and sees him. He's like, Frank, put a little bit more something in it. It's causing my teeth to grind or whatever. He tells him a specific drug he needs to make the blue nuke, and that's Frank Miller. Frank Miller is one of those people who changed comic books forever, and he had an incredible run with Daredevil. That did put Daredevil on the map with doing making the Punisher and the Hand and Bullseye and Elektra and Stick and just all the stuff that you think of modern Daredevil.
He likes his
created
ninjas.
That shit.
He loves his ninjas.
Yes. And he's partly responsible for the Teenage Ninja Turtles, because Teenage Ninja Turtles was a parody of Frank Miller's Daredevil, because instead of the hand, it was the foot. Instead of Stick, it was Splinter. There was, there's things that were the art style that he does in Sin City is basically the art style from the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. But Frank Miller is one of those people who went off the deep end after 9/11. His views on everything became way more radical, where in this it's kind of he's more of a provocateur in the ideas here, and a lot of the stuff that is in The Dark Knight Returns is in this movie. A lot of the stuff that there's like a lot of media breaks and commercials and talking heads and other kind of stuff that are explaining what's going on in the comic are doing the same thing in the movie, which I think it was kind of a cool device.
Yeah, I would have never put the two together because that's just what that's just a RoboCop movie. That's what you did in the first one. That's what you're going to do in the second one.
Mm-hmm. The sunblock commercial was funny.
God, that was so amazing.
the sunblock commercial, the car alarm electrocutor was pretty funny, and that really bleak commercial for Omni Consumer Products Communication where the guy took 2 days to download the script to Chicago, and then he commits suicide over
the blood splashing on his kids' photographs. Holy shit.
All that stuff works, and it is funny. This came out on June 22nd of 1990. Saw it in the theater during the summer. I enjoyed it. 117 minutes long, released by Orion Pictures. It was, the budget was $25 million, and it wound up grossing $50 million. So it was a minor hit, but not near as influential or as big a hit in relation to its budget as the first RoboCop was. Main cast, you got Peter Weller returning as Alex Murphy / RoboCop. Nancy Allen is Officer Lewis. She's got a very minimized part in this movie, and she's not as important. Tom Noonan is Kane, also RoboCop, the secondary RoboCop. He of course did an awesome job as Francis Dollarhide in the Red Dragon in Manhunter. He does a good job.
He could be the sweetest guy in person, but all I'll ever picture is him as Francis Dollarhide.
Exactly. Do you see it? Do you see?
Like, hey, would you guys like some more wine? How did you like the steak? I sous vide those. Just don't touch my fucking food, man.
Yeah, the Dan O'Harley returns as the old man, the OCP CEO. Willard Pugh is Mazer Kuzak.
I want you to say that 3 times really fast. The
Dan
OCP
O'Harley?
CEO. No, the OCP CEO.
OCP CEO. OCP CEO. OCP CEO. I loved Willard E. Pugh as Mayor Kuzak. He did a pretty good job as the mayor of the beleaguered Detroit. I always remember him as the manager of CB4 in CB4, who gets killed by what's his Gusto. Gusto kills him, and they're at the funeral. And the guy who plays Pootie Tang comes up to him in the funeral and starts punching him in the face. Where's my money, man? Where's my money? I don't know. It just kills me. Yeah, so it was Frank Miller's original script was a lot bigger, but they pared it down due to budgetary concerns. And there was a comic book called Frank Miller's RoboCop that basically was his entire view or script put into comic book form. I haven't read it. I kind of want to see it just because it'll be interesting to see exactly what he wanted for the movie that got cut out. Robotine did the special effects, practical effects, which are pretty damn cool in this movie. Lots of good blood squibs, lots of freaky, cerebellum and brain with eye stems and a spine. That's kind of cool. Phil Tippett, the amazing Phil Tippett, did the stop motion animation in this movie, and I love the stop motion. It didn't look 100% great, but you just know that Phil Tippett was behind it. I loved when RoboCop 2 was coming up the elevator shaft for stop motion. That looked fucking amazing. Some of the where they had to mat in people didn't look as awesome, but I love the stop motion when him and RoboCop are fighting. You can tell it is stop motion puppets, but I still love it. Phil Tippett, one of the best to ever do it. Check out Mad God on Shudder if you want to see a journey into his mind. Mind.
So good.
Yeah, but it is really, really good. David wanted to remark that he wanted the little kid criminal to die, and he eventually does, but not in a satisfying way that we all wanted to in the movie.
He was so clean cut.
Yeah.
And whose kid was he? Did they just pick him up and decide, you, we're going to make you a criminal genius, but you got to look like a nerd?
Yeah. And you got to wear your Oshkosh by gosh clothes, whatever, you know. He doesn't look like a thuggish kid. He's dressed up like a little preppy. You want to hit us with a critical consensus? It's pretty funny.
Robocop 2 received mixed reviews from critics. While the special effects and action sequences are widely praised, a common complaint was that the film did not focus enough on Robocop and his partner Lewis, and that the film's human story of the man trapped inside the machine was ultimately lost within a sea of violence. They teased it. You thought you were going to get some of that when they brought his wife in and he had that whole discussion.
That was one thing they didn't capitalize on.
It dropped off. In its Chicago Sun-Times review, Roger Ebert wrote, Kane's sidekicks include a violent, foul-mouthed young boy named Hob, who looks to be about 12 years old but kills people without remorse, swears like Eddie Murphy, and eventually takes over the drug business. The movie's screenplay is a confusion of half-baked and unfinished ideas. The use of the child killer is beneath contempt. So I was watching some comedy. You had sent me some Rodney Dangerfield.
Yeah.
Because I love Rodney Dangerfield. I love Don Rickles. So as the story goes, because he mentions Eddie Murphy, Eddie Murphy was doing his thing, and Rodney Dangerfield was there, and he's like, hey kid, you got to calm down. You swear too much. And then they're at some huge award show, and like Eddie Murphy has just gone like crazy. And Eddie Murphy tells a story too. He walks in, and Rodney Dangerfield's in there taking a leak, and he looks over his shoulder and sees him and shrugs and goes, "Hey, who knew?" The freaking story. Probably not 100% true the way I'm telling it, but look at the synergy. Look at the way this is all coming together right here on the podcast. All these things we've discussed. The film reset Robocop's character by turning him back into the monotone voice peacekeeper seen early in the first film, despite his reclaiming his own identity and personality by the end of the film. Many were also critical of the child villain Hob. David Nasser of Real Film Reviews stated that the film asks us to swallow a moment late in the story that features Robo taking pity on an injured Hob is heavy-handed and ridiculous. We should probably be thankful the screenwriters didn't have Robocop say something like, "Look at what these vile drugs have done to this innocent boy." Are you ready for her? Here she comes.
Janet Maslin, yes.
Janet Maslin of the New York Times wrote, unlike Robocop, a clever and original science fiction film with a genuinely tragic vision of its central character, Robocop 2 doesn't bother to do anything new. It freely borrows the situation, characters, and moral questions posed by the first film. She further adds the difference between Robocop and its sequel is a difference between an idea and an afterthought. Fucking cold-blooded. She also expressed her opinion about the Hob character. The aimlessness of Robocop 2 runs so deep that after exploiting the inherent shock value of such an innocent-looking killer, the film tries to capitalize on his youth by also giving him a tearful deathbed scene. Variety wrote, this ultra-violent nihilistic sequel has enough technical dazzle to impress hardware fans, but obviously no one in the Orion front office told filmmakers that less is more. Peter Rainier of the Los Angeles Times panned the film. Jay Scott of the Globe and Mail was one of the few prominent critics who admired the film, calling it a sleek and clever sequel. For fans of violent but clever action films, Robocop 2 may be the sultry season's best yet. You get the gore of Total Recall and the satiric smarts of Gremlins 2, the new batch, in one high-tech package, held together by modest B-movie strings. I've had some swimsuits that they actually marketed it that way. Robocop 2 alludes to classics of horror and science fiction, Frankenstein, Metropolis, Westworld for sure, but it also evokes less rarefied examples of the same genres, Forbidden Planet, Godzilla, and that Z movie about Hitler's brain in a bottle. It's ironic that the directorial coach of the first Robocop, Paul Verhoeven, went on to Total Recall. Couldn't he see that the script for Robocop 2 was sleeker and swifter than Arnie's cumbersome vehicle? His absence.
I disagree.
I do too. His absence in the driver's seat is happily unnoticed because Irvin Kershner, the engineer of sequels that often zip qualitatively past the originals, The Empire Strikes Back, The Return of a Man Called Horse, and the best Sean Connery James Bond of all, Never Say Never Again, has tuned up the premise until it purrs.
That's a little too kind.
It's a little bit too kind. Yeah. Rotten Tomatoes. retrospectively collected 40 reviews, gives the film a score of 28% with an average of 4.7 of 10. The site's consensus is a less satisfying rehash that generally lives down to the negative stereotype of sequels. Robocop 2 tries to deliver more of everything and ends up with less. On Metacritic, it's got a score of 42 based on reviews from 22 critics, indicating mixed or average reviews, and audiences surveyed gave the film a B- on an A to F scale.
Mm-hmm. All right. I would say if I had to give it like a 1 to 10 rating, I would probably give it a 6. It's entertaining enough for me to sit there and watch it, but it didn't engage me in any way. I don't know. Maybe I would say 6. How about you?
Yeah, I'm going to go with just a random decimal point anywhere between 5 and 6.
Yeah. It was entertaining, but it did not, really have that edge, and it didn't have a Jesus allegory like the first one. I don't know. It's really hard to top the original RoboCop because it is so fucking good. I mean, it is just almost a perfect movie in my mind as far as the way it presents things, how fast it moves, the gore, the humor. Everything is done so well, and even that you give a shit about RoboCop and what happened to him, and that I remember that scene when he's getting shot apart in the industrial building, how awful you felt and how long it's strung out and how awful, just how terrible it was when they kill him. That felt really bad. There's nothing that matches that in this movie. Yeah, scene by scene, I love, like we talked about, I love the news montages and stuff like that, where the nuke cult shoots the director of the FDA. That's not too far from reality, I would say. Shit like that. That was a little too close, and there's all the other kind of things going on with the nuclear disaster in the Amazon rainforest was another thing.
That was hilarious.
Yeah, this is a lot of fun stuff in the in that, and then they kind of give you the size up of that. The police force is going on strike because their pensions were cut and their salaries, because OCP is building the new Delta City and privatizing everything.
Just to help you out plot wise, like it's almost like they wanted us to strike.
Yes.
Oh. I wonder. Could you spoon feed me more plot, please? I'm very unsure. So
I think the most reliable villain, and still is the most reliable villain, and it's it is not unearned. Is corporations and billionaires are bad are bad.
Yeah, I know. I think this is a time tested trope that sort of plays itself out, not only in fantasy and fiction, but in real life.
Yes, exactly. Just like in Superman, the new Superman, Lex Luthor is kind of like a combination Jeff Bezos and Elon Musk put together, And then, of course, Omni Consumer Products is a giant conglomerate. And then, of course, in Blade Runner, it's the Tyrell Corporation. And Alien franchise, it's the Weyland-Yutani Corporation. Just, corporate bad guys. Or even in the movie Brazil, the bureaucracy was the villain. All the red tape, all the everything. Was to stifle everybody's creativity and their freedom, and that just feels more real than anything.
I liked Dave's comment when he was texting us about this. When you're seeing all of this, and Dave's really summed it up. He's like, "So Detroit, really hasn't changed much."
Yeah. Well, I think Detroit gets sort of a bad rap because you see parts that are getting better, but it's not necessarily like the total hellscape that it was. It's just like New York in the 80s. Remember how bad New York looked in the 80s before everything changed? It was like Escape from New York. They're going to wall it off.
Well, I mean, can we be a buffoon again? Same thing they're painting about LA.
Yeah. That there's just rampant minorities running around and taking over everything.
Yeah, it's not the whole city. It would only be true if they were talking about San Francisco.
So the crime, it's like, this is another Fox News fever dream where just crimes everywhere. I love the fact that they can get rocket launchers at the gun store.
That was, yeah, that was so sick. Like, oh, nothing says lawlessness like rocket at the gun store.
Mm-hmm. You can just go get the gun store, get a rocket launcher, get all the heavy weaponry.
How does
and the only two
Peter Weller, and the name of his character is completely skipped past me because
Murphy.
Murphy. I watched speaking of Frank Miller, I watched the animated Batman.
Dark Knight Returns
3-4 months ago. Yeah. With Peter Weller doing that voice.
He did a good job as Superman. I thought he did good
As Batman. Yeah, he did.
Oh, he was Batman. Sorry.
Yeah, he was Batman in that. But that's all I could think about. But takes 2 pops while he's in that car from that rocket launcher, and doesn't tear up the lips at all. Nothing. He just steps right out, fresh as a daisy.
Yeah, that was a little hard to buy. But the only 2 cops on duty are dang, I can't remember her name. Officer Lewis and Robocop. The only 2 people. OCP is engineering everything to drive Detroit into bankruptcy so they can take over the city. My favorite scene is the auditions or the failed Robocops that they tried to create. I fucking just love that one. I think it's so funny, and it is definitely Phil Tippett's his dark magic going on there, where they show the first Robocop and it's kind of looks like one of the droids in the Decker droids or whatever they're called in the Phantom Menace. The ones that they have that's shaped a little bit like that, but it's bipedal. But he winds up shooting the scientist, shooting somebody else, and then shooting himself. And his little lights go on and stuff, and they're shaking their head how it's awful. And then the next one is my favorite, is the skinny kind of like Robocop that comes out, and he pulls his helmet off, and there's a screaming skull underneath, and he dies. I just fucking thought that one was amazing. I love that part. That is actually probably my favorite part of the entire movie.
Well, every time we ever talk about this movie, that's the exact point that you reference.
Yeah, I just think it's such a funny thing that they did, because they tried to find more cops that had the same psychological makeup as Alex Murphy to be Robocop, but nobody can match it. So this new upcoming psychologist scientist at OCP says, well, why don't we look for somebody who's not a cop and may have desire to be a robot? Let's do that. And then she's on the fast track because she's sleeping with the old man CEO, and her, of course, things don't turn out well later. And then, of course, we learned about the drug nuke, which is sort of like a combination crack fentanyl kind of thing going on. That part was prescient, because you can see, like, in cities, just people walking around like The Walking Dead in certain places where they're like standing up, and their body, their torso is just turned in insane positions.
Yeah, and just kind of hanging there, the whole fentanyl zombies.
Yeah, that is super, super sad. And, the way that the crime is driven by the desire for drugs, and, what is the answer to that? And, it's a problem that's going on today, but of course the OCP's behind supplying it in a way. And then we find out that Kane, played by Tom Noonan, is the kind of the nuke cult leader. They take Robocop apart, which I thought was kind of cool, the way when they pulled him apart, the way he looked on the ground. That was some good puppetry.
Eyes rolling back.
Yeah,
that would be a hell of a movie prop to own. If you got to find something to buy, like original movie props, that would be the one.
The Robocop torso.
Yeah.
With the eyes that go, yeah, that was really cool. They put him back together, and they confuse him with all these directives, and it makes him a total, like, not acting like himself. Those parts were kind of funny. Thank you for not smoking. And he shoots the guy. Just too many rules to follow. So he winds up zapping himself to get it out of him.
Oh, and then they here's where we miss Paul Verhoeven, because Paul Verhoeven would have been a lot more clever. But like that part, there. Okay, well, I did want to mention. Okay, so when we were talking about the rocket launcher. Have you noticed in movies that everybody who owns a gun store dresses the same?
Yeah.
They get the plaid shirt. They get the vest.
Yeah, take it. Yeah, take
Okay,
the guns. Where's the bullets? Yeah.
So he shocks himself. He falls backwards, and then they run over and they walk on their signs, their protest signs, to take care of RoboCop.
Yeah.
And they leave.
Symbolism.
Yes, they leave you that lingering shot, and it's like, you didn't need to beat us over the head.
Well, this movie's not very subtle. So.
Really, the stop motion robot, that pulls with the screaming skull, really not subtle.
Not subtle at all. So RoboCop decides to go and take on Kane, and he dies.
Okay, I gotta say, I'm sorry. It's been bugging me the whole time. RoboCop walks stupid. I'm trying to accept it as a character, but man, when he's just out cruising on the streets by himself, like they really should have had somebody get him a better walk.
Yeah, I don't know what kind of mime school he went to, and when he shoots, he puts his arm in a weird way. Yeah, he's just
holding it back like this. Like what's that about?
It's kind of a weird, So it's kind of a weird choice compared to the original movie. Yeah.
Well, we're reprogramming his directives. What would make it better? Let's make him shoot stupid. It's just stupid.
I know that Peter Weller did some mime training for it and stuff like that, but I think he kind of got into it too much.
Oh, perhaps. Those Boston Dynamics robots move way cooler than he did.
And that is something that I think is really cool to see. That's kind of scary. Those robot dogs.
Have you seen the robots doing parkour?
Yeah, yes. Well, they have them on the box and they do the jump on the boxes and do all kind of stuff like that. That is really cool.
I, for one, think that is outstanding. I am so impressed by its ability to move and perform, and welcome our robot overlords.
I was thinking the same thing. Thank you, hi computer. Have you seen that thing about Mecha Hitler, where the Grok AI on Twitter was they've kind of tweaked it, and it was saying some super anti-Semitic stuff and called itself Mecha Hitler. No. It was really crazy. And the Daily Show did a hilarious segment on Elon Musk's AI, and it was pretty funny. And there's a lot of Mecha Hitler memes coming out this week.
No, I did not see that.
Mm-hmm. I did like how ruthless RoboCop 2 was when they activated him after they picked Kane. And he goes to go and kill the mayor because the mayor's trying to do deal with the new young kingpin of the drug trade, and just how he was shooting through walls, blasting people. There's blood squibs everywhere. He turns his girlfriend's head, breaks her neck, and then of course the little kid winds up dying, but not in the satisfying way we wished.
Yeah. Could have been better.
Yeah, that could have been better.
Could have been better. Was it just me, or did Kane remind you a little bit of Lawnmower Man?
Yes, the graphics.
Yeah.
Very Lawnmower Man-esque.
Little Lawnmower Man. I was just waiting to hear him go, I want some nuke to help me run better.
Did love
little Max Headroom reference out there for the kids.
Yes. Yeah, for the kids. I just think of Back to the Future Part 2 when they go to the 80s cafe and like Max Headroom's there and stuff like that. And that was in the future of 2015.
Ooh.
Yeah. Makes me sad. Getting old.
You always run that risk too when you see these movies and you're like, oh, in the desolate future of 2007.
Yeah. Yes. In Predator 1997. Was it in the Running Man? It was 2017.
Yeah. Done. Yeah. I mean, if you're gonna
Blade Runner was also like 2015 or 2017.
Yeah, in an alternate future, but not ours, because then we can just do whatever the hell we want.
So RoboCop 2 is activated, and then of course you're going to have your inevitable showdown between RoboCop and Robocop 2. And I enjoyed that part. I love the janky stop motion. I thought it was fucking amazing. Especially when Robocop's riding on Robocop 2, the way it looks, or the way he's getting smashed into walls. And I like the shot where the police, like military vehicle, runs into Robocop 2 and smashes him against the wall. And the way that looked, that looked really good to me. I thought some of the stop motion was good in that scene.
Yeah, I was so all about it when Robocop like went from being the live action guy to jumping on top of Robocop 2. And God, that was so good. I paused it so much to take a look at those models. That was so amazing.
Yes, I love that shit. Give me stop motion over CGI. I just something about the handmade quality of it is just so amazing.
I would not have argued if he'd have fucking thrown in some Argonauts and like from the little oil drips, there would have, the skeleton warriors.
The skeletons, from the Hydra's teeth came up. Yeah,
I would have bought that. I would have been down.
Yeah, Ray Harryhausen, Phil Tippett, just amazing stuff. And I really love, especially like the Terminator in the original Terminator, when it's the stop motion in the factory and stuff like that. I fucking love that shit. Give me more of some amazing stop motion. Good stuff.
What are your thoughts on the RoboCop suit?
Too shiny in this version.
Exactly. He was so well polished. He didn't have that gritty look, and it seemed like he kept getting bluer.
Yeah. I think a lot of it is they made the suit fiberglass this time, and it was supposedly to help Peter Weller move around more and to get it on and off quicker. So there was some benefit to him, but it looked way too shiny, too glossy.
Yeah, and way too blue.
Mm-hmm. Too spangly or whatever. Didn't look metal; it looked plastic to me.
Spangly.
It was spangly.
I'm going to use that term at some point this week. Your ears are going to burn. Neil said spangly.
I do love the fact that RoboCop pulled open and smashed the brain inside of RoboCop 2 on the concrete in a very disgusting manner.
just pulling crap out right and left. Just digging. I'm going to find someone here that'll take care of it.
And I think maybe that's why, I don't know why the reason people didn't like it is it wasn't as realistic as RoboCop, which was inherently silly in the first place. I do like some of the silliness in this one. The big vial of nuke, and he has that little kind of like robotic cart with the little hands that comes out for
He put his drugs in, it latches it rolls back in.
Yeah, to see a robot get high. It's not a perfect movie. I would say that I may like it a little bit better than Predator 2, but it's close when it comes to
there was
subpar sequels to original movies.
There was no Bill Paxton in this.
Yeah, that's true.
If Bill Paxton would have been in this, I would say it would have the edge, but it does not have Bill Paxton. It would have benefited from some Paxton-ness. Yeah.
But it's still worth watching. It's one of those movies that is, it's fun. And if you're a completist, watch it. Don't watch RoboCop 3. That's a piece of shit.
It's a what?
It is so bad.
Shit.
I couldn't even get Peter Weller back for that one. Not good.
I have seen RoboCop multiple times. I have seen RoboCop 2 multiple times. I've seen RoboCop 3 once.
Yeah, I've only seen RoboCop 3 once. Didn't they put like a jetpack or some shit on him, and he's fighting people with like samurai swords and other shit? I don't know. It was awful.
Oh, it was just so bad.
It was really, really bad.
You know what I'd forgotten too? How freaking long this movie was.
Yeah, it's a little bit too longer than it needs to be. It's like 2 hours, close to 2 hours. And they could have trimmed the fat off of that one a little bit.
Yeah, I had to go to the doctor in the morning. I had to get some, get the old guy blood work done and all that other kind of crap. And then when I got home, like, all right, you know what? I'm going to give this. I didn't make it all the way through.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm like, you know what? And I'd put it off because, some things happened. We weren't able to record on time. And I'm like, I'm going to finish this off. And as soon as I pressed play and I saw how much of the movie was left, I was like, oh, fuck my life.
Yeah, it was a little longer than it needed to be.
Yeah, that's what she
fun. Said. I was looking up a list of films that predicted the future well, and a lot of the list sucks. I mean, because it's easy to predict some of the stuff that they said that they would be predicted, but I think that Blade Runner, I think, is always really, really good when it comes to artificial intelligence. What does it mean to be human? The corporatization of the future and the melding of all cultures and everything together, and just that bleakness. I think Blade Runner is probably one of my favorite looks at the future. Very depressing, but also not as depressing as some of the apocalyptic post-apocalyptic movies like Road Warrior or something like that. But I think it was pretty good. But yeah, there's a lot of movies that try to predict the future but didn't do very well. A lot of AI predictions, though. So many movies predicted AI, but none as good as the Terminator series, in my opinion.
I'm trying to think of bleak. There's so many dystopian movies, but what's the one? Is it The Road?
Oh God, yeah, that is like the bleakest of bleak. That is
yeah, that one hits a lot different once you're a dad.
Yes. So there's this one, Collider Magazine's 30 movie future predictions that came true, but this is from 2019, so there's probably missing some stuff. But going back to Superman, James Gunn wrote it 2 years ago, and it feels like it was made for today, made for like right now. When it comes to some of the themes going on in there, Of course, 2001: A Space Odyssey gets mentioned in 30 movies that predict the future, interactive computers, and there's even like a person holding like an iPad type tablet in the movie and stuff. So that was really, really, really good. But it was done by some of the best minds of sci-fi in that day.
What was it? I was on TV. It was I don't know which came first. Star Trek. When they had the new. Yeah, they're walking around with like the little data pads and like programming shit and swiping it back and forth to each other, and you're like, well, like that's gonna happen. Oh, and by the way, let me just airdrop this to you really quick. Very cool shit.
And like Uhura had her little Bluetooth headset going on there,
Yeah.
She'd listen to what's going on.
I'm trying to remember. Was it Ender's Game? I remember reading that, and they were talking about like the wall screen, how the whole wall.
Mm-hmm.
And it's like, oh, that's ridiculous. As I'm watching on my 70-inch TV.
Star Wars, Blue Milk,
Okay, that was a life goal. I got to have blue milk when I went to go to Galaxy's Edge.
Did you squeeze it out of a giant like walrus monster?
I would take it right out of that titty. It didn't bother me. I waited since 1977 to drink blue milk in front of the Millennium Falcon, mother truckers, and I made that happen.
The Terminator, Star Trek, The Voyage Home. Lots of them have the environmental message. The Running Man. Die Another Day. I never saw Die Another Day.
The was that one Brosnan?
Yeah.
Yeah, I saw that one. I haven't seen many of the Daniel Craig ones.
I've seen Casino Royale and Skyfall. And Skyfall is my absolute favorite Bond movie of all of them. I think it's the best.
I
Skyfall.
just kept hearing Adele over and over when that came out. Skyfall. Yeah. I'm not going to watch that now. Thanks. You ruined it.
That's incorporated really in the introduction when the song plays, when they do all the credits and stuff like that. It looks fucking cool. So watch Skyfall. It is really legitimately good.
Yeah, but did they ruin the best part for watching a James Bond movie when you were a kid was silhouettes of naked chicks?
No, there's some in there.
Oh, okay then. Good.
Yeah, in the intro, yeah. Lots of silhouettes of naked ladies. Remember the Lawnmower Man?
Oh, yeah.
The Net. She ordered pizza online. That was a big deal. Remember with Sandra Bullock? Total Recall with driverless cabs.
I'm Johnny Cab.
I would rather have a Johnny Cab than we were in Las Vegas and they offered us a driverless rideshare or Uber, and I'm like, nope. I wouldn't take it. Videodrome, I think, is probably one of the best movies about consuming media. Back then it was through the VCR and, and video and stuff like that. But I think now, instead of having a helmet strapped to your head with showing you images, you have your fucking phone. Your phone is what you're looking at all the time. You're scrolling reels, you're looking up stuff. I mean, that is like what do they call it? The convergence or the singularity where our technology and us become one.
What was it? What was the movie? Was it Ray Fiennes? Was it Strange Days? Strange Days. Yeah, yes. Where you actually put the thing on and you could experience what somebody else has experienced, like directly into your brain.
Yes.
I'm waiting for that one. My kids got the virtual reality headset, but I want the one, strap it on and let's go.
Well, remember that David Cronenberg movie Existence with Jennifer and Jason Leigh, where you plugged the gaming system into your little port in your body, and it was like this biomechanical weird thing.
Yeah.
Jude Law was in it.
Yeah.
There was another movie with Natalie Wood and Christopher Walken where people were able to see other people's memories. Was the movie that her last movie, she died afterwards. What was it called? Brainstorm.
She was in the movie with Christopher Walken, then she died.
Bend the knee. Brainstorm came out in 1983, and that was it was a pretty good one. I remember seeing it a lot on cable back in the day. 1983.
It's called Brainstorm. It sounds like it would be gross, but like that's not what it means.
Falling out of the sky. Falling out of your ass. Yeah, I thought he was a little too old to play the Emperor in Dune. Maybe that is my only quibble about Dune. I don't know.
You son of a bitch. You son of a bitch.
He was still good. He's still Christopher Walken.
That actually got my kid interested. He's reading the books now.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah. He's coming up to me good. Yeah, he's like, Dad, have you read these? These are great. Like, yeah, I've read those, son. Yeah, and I agree, they are really good. You know what? I'm gonna go put it on, and I'm just gonna fast forward to the Sardaukar chants, and I'm just gonna watch the Emperor.
Yeah. Well, that was Robocop 2. I like it. It's not great, but it's fun. We'll probably say the same thing about Universal Soldier next week. Just that should be like our motto for this month. It's not great, but it's fun, because that's basically the last few movies that we've done have fit into that category.
We should change that and make that fun. The podcast tagline. Not great, but fun.
But fun, yeah. I want to say thank you to everybody, though. Our numbers have been really, really good the past month, and it's probably because we've been putting out. We're on a roll. We haven't taken a break in a while. And we're just consistently putting out episodes. And what's motivating me to put out even more episodes is that our listenership is doing better, and appreciate everybody listening. I mean, we're having June,
fun. We're having fun with the films.
Yes, we're having fun doing it. Yes. We did The Serpent and the Rainbow and The Believers for our little mini voodoo, session back in June. But Speed, The Rock, The Running Man, and just this week, Predator 2 have all been really well received. And generally, our numbers are going up. I think we're getting new listeners because you can see a lot of our old episodes being downloaded. So thank you so much. Appreciate everybody listening.
Those poor people.
Yeah, if you want to contribute to the cause, go to buymeacoffee.com and look for the Retro Video Store. You can send us an email on rvspodcast222@gmail.com. We're on the Instagram and we're on the Facebook. And check us out there. We appreciate everybody. And join us next week for Universal Soldier.
Oh, I'm looking forward to that. That was like a $2.50 movie at the Lobo, the University of New Mexico.
Nice.
Yeah. Popcorn and Jack Daniels. Loving it. Everybody, have a good week. A better week than this movie. So not great, but kind of fun.
Yeah, not great, but entertaining.
Thank you for listening to the Retro Video Store podcast.